indicated during your testimony that you matched exhibits in the registrar's copy against those found in the control set and determined what each set had that the other set did not have. Do you recall saying that?
Yes, I do.
Now, in making that assessment, did you come across instances where you had a polling station code used as exhibit in a category in the president's set? You want me to go over that?
I think so.
Let me start. I can work with that example. For instance, do you find polling station A in president's set with an exhibit number that was used in the president's set with a different exhibit number?
Polling station code,
Yes.
in the president's
set. Maybe as NBA,
yes,
but appearing in the registrar's set as, say, NBD, for instance.
Okay. The instances of differences are highlighted or noted in Appendix C3. So I'll probably have to just go through and
Maybe I can assist you with some. I have done a list. What I haven't done is matched where they are coming from.
Appendix C3, point 20.
Volume?
So that will be volume 4. So that sets out details of data capture for exits in the presiding judge's set that were not found in the registrar's set. So it would be a combination of exit numbers and polling station code numbers.
Right. So you made a differentiation based on instances where the polling station code and the exhibit numbers do not exactly match. Is that correct?
That is so. That is so.
So then when you found an instance where you had only the polling station matching, you did not match them without the exhibit numbers. Where you found exhibit code, polling station code in both, but with different exhibit numbers, you didn't match them.
That is so. That is so, yes.
Now, yes, my lord. What I wanted to find out, he said he matched them where the exhibit numbers and the code numbers matched from both sets. That's when he matched them to find out what was in one that was not in the other. So my next question then was, when you found that only the code numbers matched, but the exhibit numbers did not match, he didn't match them as, he didn't merge them. And he said, yes, he did not. Then you say that what you have in the president, you had in the distance. But when he had only the code, but the exhibit numbers are different, he didn't match them.
Numbers did not match. He said he didn't match them.
He didn't classify them as being found in both the president and the registrar.
So how did he deal with it?
He just did not indicate in his report that he found this in this and found it also in that. That's all. That's all he did. My Lord, I mean, we just want to emphasize the confusion around these exhibits and numbering. That's it. And I think we've achieved it. Because really what it means is that I might have one exhibit in mind labeled as such, but it's labeled as another exhibit in another set. And that's
but it is the same police
station code, exactly.
Same code number.
Exactly.
But the exhibit, numbering of the exhibit is different.
It's different, yes, my
That's
Lord.
what you are.
Exactly. And the numbering goes to category. Yes, my Lord.
Point 20.
C3.20. What page, my Lord?
That will be traces there. I'm looking at the index. It is details of data capture for exhibits in presiding judges' set that were not found in registered set.
Yes, my Lord.
So I know that if you look there, you only find that. And then also C3.21, it's details of data capture for exhibits in registered set that were not found in presiding judges' set. So what is different from your question? How is it different from your question that you are trying to ask? He has done that where there is nothing, they don't match, he has put it. So what are you trying to find out?
My Lord,
Yes.
Your Lordship there are two issues here. One is how many pink sheets were provided. That's the factor of the exhibit. The other is how many polling station codes were provided. That is a factor of analysis. Now, what we want...
That's what the code, they are already on it. It is the exhibit that the petitioners provided to see their category.
Yes, my Lord. And
So what exactly is your question?
the question is this. Before you determine whether or not an exhibit in one set is found in another set, did you always insist that both the exhibit number and the code number should be the same?
Yes.
And he said, yes, that's what he did. And so I then went on and said that, so when you found that the code numbers matched, but the exhibit numbers were not the same, then it meant that his answer, as I understand, is that then I did not indicate that both were found in each set, my Lord. That is my...
And did you check that C3 to find out whether your consent was not satisfied, perhaps in another appendix?
My Lord, it's because I have checked some and I found out that polling station codes were similar in both sets, but exhibit numbers were different.
And you didn't capture that?
That was not captured as part of the analysis, my Lord. So I just wanted to establish the method, and then one can make analysis based on that. Now, you were of course not aware that the petitioners had deleted, at least had listed a number of polling stations which they said they were no longer relying on. No, you were not aware of that. So that if any of those polling stations were found in the core polling stations that you established, they would have to be deducted naturally. If they were no longer relying on that.
I would think so, yeah. I presume so. Yes. I would presume so. Yes.
Now, you were not aware also of the fact that the petitioners furnished this court with particulars of polling stations that they intended to rely on. You're not aware of that as part of it?
No. But I think we'll probably need to put the context within which the work was carried out in perspective. So
I understand. I've
yeah,
got my answer.
so I don't know if I need to go through that process, the procedures we followed, the tasks we were assigned, so
You did that
we
last
can limit
time, and I
this.
understand.
No, I don't think I did so in enough detail. So I mean, if you could allow me, I could go through that process so that at least the line of questioning would follow, the tasks that we.
I think you're taking over a lordship's job.
Okay.
This line of questioning seems to be in pari material with what Addison was trying to do, and we did not accept.
Well, actually, you overruled me when I raised the objection. It was raised. I raised the objection.
but
Your
finally-
lordship overruled me. 8-1.
Yes, okay, but the tendering eventually, all right.
Yes, well,
We'll go as far as
it wasn't the
It's
tendering. I
commendable.
think it was the questioning outside the thing. Your lordship clearly overruled me, so
all right.
yes. So that you would not know whether pay sheets were supplied that were outside the particulars that were given to this court, because you didn't know, did you?
The tasks that were set out for us were quite specific.
Yes.
One, do account of the pin sheets as filed by the petitioner in accordance with the paragraph set out in the affidavit, and to do an extract of specified details. And those extracts were limited to exhibit number, polling station name, and polling station code number. And then, it went further to request, and a subsequent order was given where we were requested to make comparisons between the set that the registrar had against the copies that the presiding judge was served with. So, in terms of the tasks that we carried out, we limited those things to just those specific tasks.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Now, you indicated in your report that some exhibits fell outside the range provided in the affidavit. Can you give the court the total number?
Those details would be, I'll probably just, if you bear along with me a minute, I'll have to just look that up and get those details for you.
Volume 5. Volume 5.
Number 5, yes, okay.
Yeah. I can see P series.
Okay, so that's set out under Appendix E4, details of exhibits in the P series. This mainly applies to the P series, and that's set out under page 193 of Volume 5. So I just...
So that's at page 201.
Yep.
The total number just for the P series is 339. Is that correct?
That is so.
Did you find any for any of the other series?
There were a couple of shortfalls.
Yes.
If you go through the count series, which again is set out under the P series actually recorded the highest variance of 2,079. The others were not that significant. So in the area of the MBC series, the difference was 2. So there will be 2 exhibits that did not fit into the exhibits as indicated in the petitioner's affidavit. The MBD series all agreed. MBE series, we had 3 variations. MBF, we had 7. MBH, we had 28. MBK, we had 13. MBL, we had 3. MBM, we had 18. MBN, we had 4. The P series, as I said, we had 2,079. The MBQ series, we had 33. The MBS series, we had 4. The MBX series, we had 2. And the MBZ series, we had 2. In other instances,
did I hear you say that the MVP series, that is Appendix A1,
Appendix A1,
the main report at page 5?
Yeah. Yes, my lord. Yeah.
So the MVP series exceeded about 2,079, is that correct?
That is so.
My lord, that will be all for the witness.
Mr. Dodu.
Yes, my lord.
During your evidence, you mentioned under cross-examination, you mentioned a number of exhibits that appeared only once, exhibit numbers that appeared only once,
Yes.
and codes, polling station codes that appeared only once. 9,504 are the exhibit numbers that appeared only once, and 5,470 as the codes that only appeared once.
That is so, my lord.
Now, how does that relate to the total exhibits that you counted as having been filed?
Well, the total number of exits counted, as I mentioned earlier on, were 13,926. Out of that, 1,545 were not legible in terms of for one or more of the details we were required to capture. So that brought that number down to 12,381. In terms of comparison, the exit numbers appearing once numbered 9,504. And the polling station codes also appearing just once came up to 5,470. I'm not sure if you want us to express that as a percentage or... Okay, that's fine.
No, just for me to understand.
Yeah.
Now, so what makes up the difference between the total exhibits that you counted and the ones that, codes that appeared only once?
They were instances of repeated reports. And when I say instances of repeated reports, that means instances where exhibit numbers appeared more than, exhibit numbers or polling station code numbers appeared more than once. So 9504 were instances where exit numbers appeared only once in the entire population, yes. And then 5,470 were instances where exit polling station codes appeared once. So the difference between 5470 and the 12381 for polling station codes were instances where polling station codes appeared more than once. And as I said earlier on, that numbered 6,911. I don't know if it makes... okay, so out of the total count of exits, which numbered 13,926, 1,545 were not legible in one or more areas. So that brought the total number of exits that we carried out. Okay, we ran tests to highlight instances where they featured more than one. Okay, so that brought the number to 12,381 in terms of the pin sheets that we were to run those tests on. Now, out of that number, with regards to exit numbers, the number of times exit numbers appeared just once came up to 9,504. The difference, which will be 2,877, were instances where those exit numbers appeared more than once. I don't know if that. Okay, let me try and put it another way then. So, out of the 12,381 exit numbers that appeared only once came up to 9,504. Yeah, exit numbers appearing only once came up to 9,504. So the rest were instances where exit numbers had been repeated. So when I say repeated, it means instances of
these were didn't organize
duplication,
adequate seats for anybody.
you know,
Where the overflow was full.
yeah, between 9,504 and then 12,381.
I'm not exaggerating. There are more than 500 people standing.
No, so the 5470 were those instances where polling station codes appeared only once.
There was no place, so no usher would come and direct.
04. Yeah. We cannot do a direct deduction. We cannot do a direct deduction. What we did was to look at instances where polling station codes appeared just once within the rest of the population, after taking out the 1,545.
Code numbers appear to be one.
Yes, where the polling station code numbers appeared only once in the entire lot of exits.
The entire lot of the 13,000 that you counted, 13,000 something that you counted.
You know, the total number we counted came up to 13,920. But for 1,545, there were one or more specific details for which, you know, we could not read what had been indicated in respect of those three specific items, be it either exit number, polling station name, or polling station code. So those were taken up. So what we were left with came up to 12,381. Now, so the 12,381 represents the rest of the population on which those tests were carried out. Now, what we did was to run those tests just to confirm how many times the exit numbers appeared more than once. In 9,504 instances, the exit numbers appeared just once. In 5,470 instances, out of that same population, polling station code numbers appeared just once. So the remainder of that number would represent instances where those be it either polling station code number or exit number had been repeated more than once. I don't know if that
No,
makes sense.
but the 9,504, which you say had the same, in respect of which the exhibit numbers appeared only once. These also have code numbers, don't they?
Yes, yes.
So what happens to the code numbers in respect of this 9,504?
So you could have a situation where the same polling station code number had more than one exit number. I don't know if that clarifies the issue.
$12,381 polling stations that you ranted on.
Yes.
The pink sheet of the various polling stations that we can say, we can talk about only 5,470 are pink sheets that have all the other attributes like polling station, code number, and then they are unique polling stations.
Yeah,
5,470 are unique polling stations.
Yes, appearing just one. So out of the remainder, which will be 6,911, what we did was to run another test just to ensure that in instances where they had been repeated more than one, we only picked up one of those items. And that's what came up to 3,205. To bring the unique polling station code numbers to 8,675. 8,675.
Unique polling station.
Yes, unique polling station. Yes, yes. Unique polling station code numbers on the pink sheet. So let's say, let me try and give an example. Let's say you have 5 pink sheets with polling station code numbers on. Let's say we probably had 2 instances where the polling station code numbers appeared just once. In 3 instances, they were repeated. So let's say if they were duplicated, we would only pick one up. So the instance where we picked just one out of the 3 that probably had been triplicated came up to 3,205. So the rest of the 3,706 represents duplications or triplications which ought not be included or qualify for inclusion as polling station code.
The unique, my question is, the polling stations that have their pink sheets uniquely will be 8,675.
Yes, my lord, 8,675 unique polling station code numbers, yes. That is so. The 3,000 will be in E3. E3. Yes. Yes, my lord, will be in E5.
This 8,675, did you categorize these figures into the various categories? Is there any column where you have cut this unique 8,675 that we can have categorized into the various categories?
You will see them in 2 lots. One which will be the 5470, which will be the sum of A2.1.1. I'll have to look the exit numbers up. A couple of reports, so please bear along with me. So the polling station codes appearing more than once in the entire population are set out on Appendix A4. A4, yes. And the exit numbers appearing more than once in the entire population is set out in Appendix A3. So let's start with Appendix A3, which sets out the exit numbers appearing more than once. If we open page 457, the first item would be MBD 28. How many counts? If you look at the extreme right box, you would have two times. You would see it features in sheet number 28 and 29. So we have the same exit number, MBD 28 and MBD 28. You move on to the next one, which also features two times. You have MBDE 367, MBDE 367, representing West Africa Senior High School, Medina, West Africa Senior High School, Medina. In these instances, they were the same polling station codes. So that's a direct duplication. In the first instance, you realize that the polling station code numbers differ. So you would have H230101, which is for the MBD 28, and then you have another one, which is H100304.
Mr. Amano, so if we want to know how many polling stations were filed, pink sheets for how many single polling stations were filed, what is the figure you would give us?
The number would be 8675 then.
8675?
Yeah.
And what would the 5470 represent?
The 5470 would represent instances where they only appeared once. The polling station code numbers appeared just once in the entire lot. So that could be separated and considered to be polling station code numbers that had not been duplicated.
So if there were no duplications, then the total number of polling stations for which pink sheets were filed was 5470.
No, it will be 8,675. So okay. In instances where they appeared just once, that came up to 5470. So the remainder of the population, which is the 6911, which includes instances where they had been replicated, if you take out, the unique ones among that lot, that gives you 3205, which you will have to add onto 5470 to give you 8675 as the instances where polling station code numbers appear just one. I don't know if it's a bit technical, but
No, I think even with my limitation with figures, I'm beginning to understand. Very well. That would be all.
Mr. Amano, your count involved taking the individual sheets from packages in which they had been arranged. Is that not right?
That is so, my lord.
And those packages were in the form of boxes, essentially.
There were a combination of boxes, envelopes, and individual pin sheets.
Those envelopes were themselves often put in a box.
In a box, yes, that's so.
And those boxes actually had labelings on them. Is that not correct?
That is so, my lord.
And as you indicated yourself, the P series seems to be the largest number of pin sheets.
Yes, yes, my lord. That formed about 58% of the entire population, yes, about, 58%.
And all of the P series were in boxes. Is that not correct, as far as you recall?
They were, I would believe so. I would think so, yes.
Now, in Appendix A.2.1, that is the main report, I believe, yes. That is Volume 1, the main report. Appendix A.2.1 to Appendix A.2.24, essentially what you were doing was that after you had taken out these individual sheets from the packages, boxes, or envelopes as they might be, you then listed each of them according to the paragraphs of the affidavit as you have been ordered to do by the court.
That is for my lord. Yes.
And so the attributes that the court expected you to enter, you duly entered them.
That is correct, my lord.
Now, you then also indicated where it was not legible because the polling station name or the code or something, you actually specified that.
That is correct, my lord.
Now, when these entries were being made, you had representatives of all the parties in these proceedings present.
That is so, my lord.
And in respect of what was regarded as not legible, your representative showed this to all the parties.
That is correct. Each and every one of the representatives were made to look at the pin sheet and to confirm that indeed those were not legible.
And so that list of 1,545 that you indicated, you had separated out of the 13,926.
That is correct, my lord.
That was a list in relation to which the party's representatives all agreed that there was a missing element which could not be duly recorded.
That is correct, my lord.
In fact, yes, the list of 1545, which is in appendix, appendix E5. Appendix E5 is the list of 1545. Now, what I was suggesting was that in respect of that list, where things that were not clear, polling station name, code, that was the list that all the parties' representatives accepted had the unclarity, the illegibility that you noted in this Exhibit E5. Is that not correct?
That is so, my lord.
In fact, the process that your firm took in undertaking this task was that every day, as you made these entries, you gave a copy of the entry to each of the party's representatives. Is that not correct?
That is correct, my lord. That is so.
And they actually signed acknowledging that they had been part of that process.
That is so, my lord. Yes.
So each party's representative would still have in their possession these lists from the day-to-day process that you engaged in with all of them present.
That is so. Out of the registrar's lot of exhibits that we examined, yes.
Now, let's look at page 4 of your report.
Okay.
Towards the middle, the petitioners you record were represented by Mr. Kweku Esrifi and Mr. John Atefa. Is that not correct?
That is correct, my lord.
Now, at no point in the process of this count did any of the in the process of the count in respect of the registrar set of exhibits, at no point did any of the petitioner's representatives suggest to you that any entries that you had made as you went on day by day was in error. At no point did they mention that to you.
No, that was not, that was not, the petitioner's representatives did not highlight any of such errors, or any error out of the lot that was given out to them.
And at no point was any suggestion made by any of them that what you were counting was an incomplete set of exhibits when you were counting the registrar's set. At no point did they say, this is an incomplete set of what the registrar set of exhibits consists of.
No, they did not, but I'll probably have to clarify that a bit.
Very well, go ahead.
In terms of the exhibits that we received from the registrar, aside from those that were labeled the P series, almost all the other exhibits tied into the numbering system largely in the petitioner's affidavit. So we did not have any issue with that.
Just take it slowly. When you say we did not have any issue with that, I was asking you about the petitioner's representatives and their position. So I would like you to address that also.
So all the parties confirmed the exit as presented to us by the registrar and matched that against the details set out in the petitioner's affidavit in terms of the numbering structure that had been captured in the affidavit. Now, for the P series, the labeling or numbering structure did not tie into the numbering structure as set out in the petitioner's affidavit. There were instances where there were gaps or duplication, and all those things are actually set out in the body of the report.
Yes, indeed. You have set out those, and I want to just be sure that we all understand what you mean in terms of the gap and the duplication. So perhaps let us
so those are actually set out in Appendix E4.
Yes.
On page 193 of the 5th volume. Now, so in the petitioner's affidavit ended on 6822, but the affidavits we were presented or provided with, I believe, ended at 73. Sorry.
The pink sheets you were provided.
Yeah, the pink sheets were provided with ended. I'll
718.
Yes, I think so.
We ended at someone. If you look at page 7 with your table, line 32 of the main report.
Yes, it ended at MBP 7182.
7182. In fact, that table, I believe, explains what you talk about as duplication and overlap. If you just go to line 15 of the table on page 6, in respect of the P series, you indicate that there was a package which had MVP 1 to MVP 170.
That is so, my lord.
Then on the next line, the other package has MVP 1 to MVP 475.
That is correct, my lord.
So there is an overlap in the sense that 1 to 170 is repeated in the other package with 1 to 475.
That is what it would imply, yes.
And 1 to 170 is duplicated. That's what you mean when you say in paragraph 2.4 on page 7, some gaps were noted in the labeling of some of the exhibits in the P series. In other instances, labeling of some of the exhibits in the P series were found to have been either duplicated or overlapped.
That is the case, my lord. That is so, my lord. Yes.
So you have 1 to 170 in one package, then 1 to 475. And what you are saying is that the 1 to 170 is duplicated in the next one. Is that not correct?
That is so, my lord. Yes.
And equally, when you move on, you have line 17, MVP 476 to MVP 814, And then when you go to line 18, you have MBP 476 to MBP 1234. So again, there is an overlap. Is that not correct?
That is the case. That is so, my lord.
And also, MBP 476 to 814 would have been duplicated.
That is so, my lord.
And you take the next line as well. '19, MBP 2070 to MBP 2818. And then you go to the next line, line 20, MBP 2314 to MBP 2632.
That is so, my lord.
Again, there is an overlap.
Yes.
And there is duplication in part.
That is correct, my lord.
Yes. Now, it goes on and on, but we need not go through all that. Now, this record that you have at pages 6 and 7, according to you, was based on information from the registrar.
Yes, those were the exhibits presented to us by the registrar as representing what the petitioners filed.
Now, and you explained that, I believe, at page 5, you explained that under 2.3, the second subparagraph that and you say, please, perhaps you could just read that out, that we understand further.
We understand further from the registrar that because of the volumes of exhibits that were filed, the exhibits were sent to the new Supreme Court room where they were randomly checked with the petitioner's representative. As some copies of the exhibits were not up to the number required, a request was made for additional copies. Although additional copies were subsequently brought, they did not in all instances make up the number required.
And this was information you received from the registrar?
That is so, my lord.
And continue the last paragraph.
Okay. We understand from the registrar that generally the court requires a minimum of 10 copies of documents filed for its purposes. So we've shown in the table the following, the table which appears after that paragraph, which is labeled Table 1. So shown in Table 1 is the list of exits filed by the petitioners and the quantities received by the registrar in each case. So the table kind of sets out the various exits and the number of exits or copies that were received.
Now, in that table, you indicate 6 packages within the P series, 6 packages, where only one set was filed. You indicate that.
That's the information that the registrar presented us with.
So this is at page 6 to 7. I believe the numbers in your list where there's only one are number 21, number 22, 1, 23, 1, 24, 1, 25, 1, and also 32, 1. I think that does come to 6, doesn't it? Unless my arithmetic is as poor as it might be.
That captures the information that you've just set out.
Now, in that list also, you indicate that in that same P-series of exhibits, from line 17, if you go from line 17 to line 32, the minimum of 10 copies that the court generally required, as you were informed, when documents are filed, that minimum was not met.
Not in all instances.
No, I'm suggesting to you that in none of the instances from line 17 to 32, from line 17 to 32, in none of those instances was the minimum of 10 met.
That is correct. That is correct, my lord. Yes.
So 16 out of the 18 packages in the P-series had less than 10 sets of exhibits generally required. Is that correct?
Can I just do a quick count?
Yes,
to confirm?
17 to 32. I'm getting better at maths myself.
Yes, 16 instances. Yes, that's correct, my lord.
And out of 18, because in the first two, 15 and 16, there you had the 15, you had the number 15 and then the number 16.
That is correct, my
In
lord.
the remaining 16 instances, the minimum of 10 was not met.
That is correct, my lord. According to the registrar, yes.
That's correct. Now, when the registrar also told you that some of the copies were not up to the number and a request was made for additional copies and additional copies were subsequently brought, did he indicate a timeline over which those additional copies were brought?
He did indicate those were brought just before the case actually started.
Just before the case actually started?
To my recollection, or you would probably have to confirm that. I think you probably have to confirm that from the registrar.
But he gives an indication. It was not the day of the filing, evidently. It was not the day.
No, it was not the day of the filing. Those were done subsequent to that day, yes. I think.
And the indication was that as you put it, additional copies were subsequently brought, but they did not in all instances make up the number required. So it was like a process of trying to make up the number, but even by the end, whenever that end time was, the number was not met.
That is what I will presume, my lord.
That's right. Okay. Now, according to this table, all the other categories, apart from the P series, had at least 13 sets of exhibits filed.
That is correct, my lord.
Now, I want to take you to Appendix 8.2.13, where you have the data capture for the P series, 8.2.13, where you have quite scrupulously captured the data in respect of the P series. I believe that comes as 8.2.13. That starts at that's on page 145 of the main report, volume 1, that is.
Yes, my lord. I'll be from pages 145 to 380.
380, yes. Now, just let's start with the first one. MVP. What polling station? Just read out our polling station for me for a moment.
The polling station name or number?
Name.
Dorman Kuma L/A primary B.
Okay. That you list as MVP, right?
That is so, my lord.
Now, turn over to page 149, sheet number 172. That is also MVP. Is that not correct?
That is correct, my lord.
The same exhibit number as you read from sheet 1.
That is
same
so.
Exhibit number.
That is so, my lord.
Can you just read out what the name of the polling? Page 149. 149.
Number 172. So the name there is, I believe, Brofo Yedu United JHS.
So you have sheet number 1, MVP, Jomankuma LA Primary B, and sheet number 172, again MVP, and that is Brofo Yedu United J. So same exhibit number, but different.
Yes. Polling station name and polling station number, yes.
And we'll have to go a little bit step by step on this one because it's important to be clear. Now, if you take the next one, MVP2, sheet 2, again, just go through the process of identifying the polling station name and the exhibit number.
Okay, so sheet 2, which appears on page 145, has as the exhibit number MVP 000001. And the polling station name is I think this is just a lucky word now.
Let's say Yawanwula.
Yes, Yawanwula Primary, LA Primary School, yes.
And then, if you have a look at sheet 173, sheet 173.
Sheet 173 on
at page 149.
On page 149.
Yes.
Yes.
That is also MVP 1.
Yes.
And there you have a different polling station, Kobo Cocoa Shek. Is that not correct?
That is so.
That is.
But there will be a distinction in that regard because the
Yes,
exits had been manually labeled in some cases and electronically labeled in other cases.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah, okay.
And in fact,
So the instance of the electric numbering would produce those numbers with a series of zeros before the actual number.
correct, correct. And in fact, I just want to tie that in with your earlier explanation because that would explain to us some of the overlaps that you've been discussing. So for instance, the 1 to 170 that you first listed at pages 145 to 149, it goes 1 to 170.
That is so, my lord.
That reflects line 15. Line 15 on page 6 of your table. Line 15, page 6 of your table. The table in which you set out what you had been provided by the registrar, page 6. MVP 1 to MVP 170.
That is correct, my lord. Yes.
And that is captured from page 145 to somewhere 149.
That is correct, my lord.
And then when you proceeded from sheet 172, you were dealing with line 16 on page 6, table 1. Line 16.
That is so, my lord.
That is MVP 1 now to MVP
475.
475. And as you rightly indicated to us, I'm sorry, page 6, that is line 16 in that table. I first refer to line 15, that is once, and then line 16, the 1 to 475, is what begins to be captured at page 149 in that table. It begins to be captured from 172 onwards, sheet 172 onwards. It begins to be captured and
I think it ends on page 162. That would be MVP 475.
MVP
my lord.
475, that's correct. Yeah, in the report. So, my lords, but we are seeking to draw out some important elements because I think we took the time to.
Yeah. So why don't you go straight to that element?
Yes, my lord. I wanted him to go to those pages because I realized that he will not have everything in his mind immediately. So I just drew his attention to those so that he would be in a position to answer. But with respect to that, I will not start around. Very well. Now, so basically, what I want to suggest to you is that if you look at 1 to 170, which ends at sheet 171, because there was also MDP. If you look at that, the exhibit numbers 1 to 170 are also exhibit numbers that you find at pages 149 to 154, also 1 to 170.
Yes, that is so, my lord. Yes.
And yet, in the second lot of 1 to 170, we're dealing with different polling stations from the first lot of 1 to 170. Different polling stations.
That is how they have been captured on the exit.
Yes, just look at, you can go through, look at it. You have captured what was on the sheets that were presented. And clearly, the polling station names, if you go, we already dealt with sheet 1 and sheet 172. We already dealt with that. That's MVP in either case, 2 different polling stations. And now what I'm saying to you is that the next 170 following in the PCU, the first lot has one set of polling station names, and the next lot has another set of polling station names in each case, without exception. In each case, another set of polling station names.
That is so, my lord.
Now, similarly, let's go to page 199, where we have number 2056, 199, where we have 2056, MVP 002633. And again, just to be clear, we are relating that to, in your table 1, you have at line 21, MVP 2633 to MVP 3348. So if we start from 2056, you were reproducing, you were listing what is in that package, MVP 2633 to MVP 3348. And so it does continue in that sequence to MVP 3348. I think that is at page 204. Three, 4, 8.
No, I think it will be on...
3348 is later.
Yeah. That would be on page 223.
On page 223. 223.
Yes, my lord.
Now, just have a look at MVP 2633.
On which page?
Page 199.
Two zero two six three three.
I'm sorry, 2056, I'm sorry. 2056.
Yes, okay.
MVP 2633.
Yes.
2056. Now, what polling station is that?
That's RT Primary School.
And if you then go to page 204, number 2242, 204, number 2242, you have another MVP 2633, do you not?
That is correct, my lord.
And what polling station is that?
We have Presby Church Medina Zongo A there.
So that again is a different polling station.
That is so, my lord.
From the previous 2633.
That is correct, my lord.
Yes.
Are born out from the report. I don't know. So I think what you have to do is rather address these issues in your address, because he's just taking us through what is there on the report. Is this not it? Is this not it? So we are not actually making any headway. You see, whatever concerns you have, I think there are issues to be addressed.
My Lord, respectfully, the reason I think it's useful to have these clarified is because it's not always obvious on the face of the document how the table that is provided for us on pages 6 and 7, how that is linked to the way they are recorded. And unless you go...
Your address. You have brought the court's attention to these matters in your address.
But my Lord, respectfully, this is the witness who produced this document, and unless I get confirmation that what I interpret is consistent with what he did, I have a bit of difficulty.
In the box there, he cannot change anything in the report. This report has been accepted by the court. So he cannot provide any clarification of any act.
Oh, my Lord.
So if you have any concerns, you deal with them in your address.
No, my Lord, I actually, far from having any concern, I actually believe that the court will be greatly assisted by some of the answers that the witness
is answers that your expert will provide.
I see.
Yes.
I see.
So maybe it is your address which will point out these questions, the answers that is provided.
I think you have sufficiently demonstrated that there are quite a significant number of these repetitions and duplications dealing with the same exhibit numbers and polling stations. So I think what my sister is saying is that you can then make your suggestion or whatever to the witness, then we can make some progress.
Very well. So just, without going with all the others, I'm suggesting to you that, again, in this context, where there are these overlaps between the packages you have one set of exhibits with one set of polling station names, and then when you go to the next package, you have another set of exhibits with the same exhibit numbers, but with different polling station names. That phenomenon is recurrent. You would agree with that?
Yes, that was the case in many instances, yes.
Very well. Now, you also, in your report at page 7, you refer to gaps. And again, with respect, I just want to get a short clarification that I understand what he means by gaps. You said some gaps were noted in the labeling of some of the exhibits in the P series. Gaps were noted. Now, I want to be clear that when we talk about gaps, are you referring to, for instance, the situation at page 6, line 18 and line 19 of that table 1?
Yes, that is so, my Lord.
Where line 18 goes MBP 476 to MBP 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the next 18 is MBP 2070 to MBP so and so. So you're referring to the gap between the two?
That is so, my Lord.
That's fine.
Between 1, 2, 3, 4 and 2, 0, 7, 0.
Now, let us then just move to the appendix E3 that you also highlighted. E3, that is where you talked about 3,205 polling station codes that were repeated. And you gave examples of some being repeated twice. Is that not right?
That is so, my Lord.
In fact, some were repeated 6 times. Is that not correct?
That is so, my Lord.
And some 5 times. And so on.
That is so, my Lord.
And Now, have a look at Appendix B.5.7.
Appendix.
B.5.7. Appendix B.5.7. That is volume 3 and
page 307.
307. That is polling station codes appearing more than once in series MBP. Again, we're talking about the P series, but this time we're talking about the president's copy. And here you are setting out polling station codes appearing more than once. Now, if you have a look at line 23, or the number 23, there's a polling station, Anglican Primary, Pahiakobo or something, Pahiakobo, maybe Pahiakobo, I don't know.
I would think so. I'm not an expert in pronunciation of names, you know.
Correct. Now, that polling station code actually appears 22 times. It is repeated 22 times, is it not? Page 307.
That is all, my Lord.
Page number 23 to number 44 in that appendix B.5.7. Number 23 to 44. And if you just turn over the page, the next polling station, Anglican, I guess, Anglican Primary. By the way, in that series of 22 repetitions, the exhibit number there is the same.
That is so, my Lord.
Okay. Now, let's take the next, Anglican Primary in Petition. That is repeated 14 times.
That is so, my Lord.
And there again, the exhibit number is actually the same.
That is so, my Lord.
But let's just take the final one, numbered 1638.
Which page now?
That is at page 341. 341. 1638. Page 341. Kologo Junior High School.
Yep.
Now, that is repeated 10 times, and the first 5 times it has one exhibit number, and the next 5 times it has another exhibit number. Is that correct? So just look at it's page 341, where the first 5.
Yes, I've seen the first 5. Yes.
And then if you turn over the page, the first 5 have exhibit number 4476, again with 00 before it. And then the next one, 4477.
Yes, but the next one is Kologo 2 Primary School.
So you're right. So they are repeated 5 times in respect of the junior high school, And then there are 5 repetitions of another polling station named Kologo 2 Primary School. In each of these cases, there are these 5 repetitions.
That is so, my lord.
And
so looks closely at the polling station codes. You see they are different, so they cannot be the same polling stations. The codes are different.
my lord, the first 5 are the same. The next 5 are another lot, and he's clarified that, and I accepted that. The first 5 are the same exhibit, and the second 5. Now,
in any case,
my lord, I'm just finishing. Sorry.
you're just finishing.
Yes, I'm just finishing.
All right.
Literally. Okay. My lord, I'm literally less than 5 minutes. Less than 5 minutes. Less than 5 minutes. In fact, Mr. Amano Dudu, the P series in both sets of exhibits that you counted, the P series where you had more duplications than in any other series.
That is so, my lord.
And from your testimony, it is clear that it is these repetitions that accounted for us having one number of exhibit sheets. In the case of the registrar, 13,926, and then the other number that you gave us of unique polling stations, which represents 8,675.
That is so, my lord.
And in respect of identifying, therefore, in respect of identifying the polling stations related to the affidavit of the second petitioner, your evidence is that from all your counts and from all your setting out of polling station codes, and leaving aside the 1,545 that were agreed by all to be unclear, we're dealing with 8,675 unique polling stations. Is that not correct?
That is so, my lord.
That will be all.
Let me just ask you one question. So, in terms of, you told the court that the number we should be dealing with will be 8,635 unique polling stations.
Good. Yes, my lord.
Now, so which means that in terms of, what I want to find out is in terms, relative to the number of pink sheets that's supposed to be double counted, if related to the categories, what percentage would the P series represent?
The P series compared to the entire population, I think, came up to about 58% of the entire population, yes.
And that's the duplicated. I want to find the duplicated. Let's say the overlaps.
We did not calculate those numbers, just with specific reference to the P series. That was done for the entire population. So if you look at it within the entire population, the instances where records were repeated came up to 6,911. Now, but out of that, you could take out 3,205 as represented.
No, I've got that. You say that we are dealing with 8,675.
That's correct.
As against, let's say,
12,381, yes.
What I want to find out, if you did, you can indicate, is what percentage of that will be
okay.
In the PCB?
Yes. Okay. I will have to look that up and.
It's okay if you did.
Yeah, we didn't. You see, we desisted from that because of the 1,545 instances where those numbers were exactly. So anything that we calculate would probably not reflect the final number.
Is there no way of ascertaining which polling station any of these sections belong to?
My Lord, it is possible, but the task we were set out to do, the order we received was to refer to the registrar's set. So this is how they were captured in the set, the lot of exhibits that the registrar had. Indeed, in the report, we had indicated, I think, let me see if I can find that. On page 12 of the main report, we've indicated that a decision will need to be made as to whether the missing information of the remaining exhibits will have to be provided or sourced to determine whether they do indeed qualify to be included in the list. So if a decision is taken, we couldn't have referred to any other source other than the registrar's copy, because that would have meant going outside the scope of our work.
Okay, Mr. Amano, I'm most grateful to you for your sterling patience, contribution, expertise, and all your evidence. And but a trial has its bumps, so we cannot entirely say that we won't test run you in respect of certain residual matters if the need transpires. So we again conditionally discharge you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, my lord. I think we appreciate the opportunity to have been given the chance to at least have been of service to the people of Ghana, and I'd also like to thank one of the members of your panel for taking me through how to tender documents in evidence. I will closely guard that.
I thought you went to the only civilian academy in Accra.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. But I will pass on the show of appreciation to members of our team there. Thank you, my lords.
Before we rise for the break, we we're expecting, and I understand we have some 3 special guests. This one. No, after this. We'll come to them when we come from the break. So we're going for our usual break. 12 minutes to 1, so 1 hour from there. 12 minutes to 2, I think. Or we make it 2. Okay. Fully his apology and his withdrawal of these words before we say anything about them. You've heard your counsel.
My lords, I apologize for my irresponsible statements. I should have been a little bit careful and picked and chosen my words very carefully. I humbly apologize, and I think it will not happen again. And just for the record, my lords, I started apologizing way before I even got the sermon. I am responsible for my action. It was irresponsible of me, and I'm pleading with my lords that if I'm given another chance, any platform that I get, I will use that as a positive tool for my colleagues to put out there how our words doesn't go well, and at the same time we owe a responsibility of putting responsible comments out there, which I take full responsibility for. So I'm pleading with your lordship to temper justice with mercy, to give me a second chance in life, and I promise I will put out good words, and I'll do what is right. There's no excuses for my mistakes, your lordship. I take full responsibility for my irresponsible actions. Thank you very much, your lords.
Calabash School of Petition. So you take full responsibility for your conduct.
My lords, respectfully, I still apologize for if I...
No, did you say that? That's because I heard you on the radio.
My lords, I was making a submission that I am responsible for my actions, and during the time I was making those statements, it was a question that was put to me by the presenter, and I said I wasn't influenced by any be it petrol, alcohol. Those were the adjectives that I used. And if I have crossed the line, I still apologize, to be forgiven, and I'll pick and choose my words carefully. And I humbly plead that temper justice with mercy. Thank you, ma'am. My Lord. Okay. Ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, my lords. Sorry, my lords. My lords, from the bottom of my heart, I really apologize for my actions. And I was raised to keep my words, and what I say, I should stand by it. And when I'm apologizing, my lords, I really mean it from the bottom of my heart, and I'm responsible for my irresponsible actions.
Were you trained in the U.S.?
Mr. Tubiga.
Yes, my lords.
You are speaking very good English, and the good book tells us that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And I've read your statement in issue, and I'm surprised that a gentleman in shoes like you will make those comments. I believe you are fairly well educated to know that we are not here by accident, but we are here because the state has constituted us into a court. And it's not only an ordinary court, but the Supreme Court of Ghana, where everybody who has a dispute with his or her neighbor is entitled to come for adjudication. And you say that even if we make pronouncement, you will not respect it. It's not. It's a recipe for disaster in this country. And I am particularly happy you started apologizing over the weekend, meaning that you have realized the need or the realization that the statements were in bad taste. The way you are couched in this court, I believe that all the politicians here will take a cue from your posture. It appears when you are on your radio discussions, TV discussions, political party rallies, different blood levels flow through you, and you make utterances which should not have been made in the first place. So you all take a cue from the events of last week when Sami Auku was here and when my good friend Stephen Asuguba has made his appearance before us. I believe that we are not out to hound anybody, but we only want sanity to prevail in the society. We all come from traditional areas where cases are pending before even clan heads or odikros or chiefs, and you make disparaging comments. Some can find you 24 bottles of schnapps or castle bridge and ram before you even enter the place. You only give reverence to those who are in authority, who will pass, other people will come. You might be here one day if you are learned. So I believe that we should all take a cue and guide and guard our words before we utter them. Thank you.
Thank you, my lord.
I want to ask you a question. What exactly did you say So I want to find out what you said. For people are here, they want to hear you.
My lords, I will still apologize for
I want to hear what you said.
My lords,
the people out there want to hear what you said.
My lords, I pray to God that those words should never come out of my mouth anymore. And
now,
and I humbly stand in front of you, your lords.
Wait, before we've heard your apology. Are you apologizing for uttering those words, or you are apologizing because those words you can't even carry them out?
Thank you, my lord. My lords, I am apologizing because I've acted irresponsibly. I'm a father and a husband, and I have to leave an example for my kids.
So that what it is that you can't, you don't even have the guts to say that if we deliver any judgment, you will not be able, you will not even obey the orders that we make. You can't even say that.
My lord, that is true.
By the time you made those statements, what came into your head? Seriously.
My
if
lord.
If standing there, you,
yes.
And near you.
Yes. Yes, my lords.
We are sitting down here, sitting on a matter that touches on the governance of this country, and near you, stand there, out there, and before your colleagues, tell the whole world that whatever comes out of this court, you will not obey them. And now here, look at you. Look at you. See, that is what my brother was saying. When you go into your podcast platform, see your adrenaline level goes up, and then you make all sorts of statements. Because this is the court. And whatever decision that comes out of this court binds everybody, whether you like it or not. And you will have to obey them. See, making those statements out there, and it applies to everybody. See, your behavior is now going to touch on the final outcome of this case. See, you are preparing the minds of people to either take the judgment that we give one way or the other. But there will be a judgment one way or the other. It doesn't matter where the act falls. At the end of the day, there will be a determination of this case. So people who are, you'll be living in a, let's say, fool's paradise to think that we are not going to give a decision. We are going to give a decision one way or the other. It doesn't matter where the act falls. And people like you cannot stop the court from giving a decision.
I'm sorry, my lord.
My lord, respectfully, I believe your lordship's views on this matter are of the greatest significance, not just for yourself, as you have often said, but really for the whole nation. You know. The time you made this statement, were you asked any questions by the radio station to which you were communicating these things?
Thank you, my lords. It's one of the bad days that on a platform, and I behaved irresponsibly. I wasn't careful with my words, and I was very sentimental and passionate when I was doing my submission, which I've learned my lesson the hard way, to pick and choose my words carefully and not to be sentimental and concentrate on the submission that I'm making, sir. And I'm still pleading your lordship for mercy.
Now, the publication is, I think, alleging that you were making this utterance, I think, in reaction to either the warning of this court or after Woku's appearance here.
When I made those irresponsible comments or statements by me, I was sitting behind the TV when I saw my fellow colleague being dragged here, and at the same time, the words that you used, you said you would not sit down for politicians to tear, the country apart. That also touched my heart, and I believe that my lordship is taking control of our irresponsible statements out there, and that also gave me the urge to at least, what can I do? I have to also go out there and take responsibility of my irresponsible actions, and besides that, my parents and responsible leaders of my party, NDC, also stepped in to caution me. So, Your Honor, my lords, I still take responsibility for my irresponsible statement and actions that day, and I'm still pleading to temper justice with mercy, Your Honor. I will use my, if I'm given the chance to walk any platform that I get, Your Honor, I will make sure that I will first start, my lords, by sensitizing the NDC people and Ghanaians as a whole. We should respect the verdict of the court, and any verdict that is being given, so be it. This is the final authority or the instrument that will protect the democracy of Ghana that I will enjoy as a Ghanaian. So I'm sorry, and I also want to, my lords, to applaud and that you've clinched the iron fist on the irresponsible, rotten language that we're using out there. And I think I'm really sorry for my irresponsible comment, my lords.
Going back to the context of your statement, if I've got you rightly, the statements for which you are standing here were uttered in relation to the statement issuing from this court that would not allow politicians to tear this country apart. Am I right?
My lords, I'm just adding up that based on my colleague being dragged here and hearing the final touch warning, and it's besides the party or my party authorities and my parents and good friends, it's all part of it, and including myself. It's a whole lot of series that I started making the apology before the summons was issued, my lords.
I'm not sure that I understand you. Anyway, but you see, if you say you are sorry, it has to be tested as to its sincerity. Because if the clear stand of this court was what you were reacting to, and at that time, as you say, you were not drunk, everything was fine than before. And that was what you could say. Then that was real defiance, isn't it?
My lords, I apologize. No, my lords, I think he was in the morning and I was in the afternoon, somewhere around 3:20.
Okay. I see one thing we have noticed is this, that some of you, the politicians, you think you are
too clever and very stubborn. I'm talking very frankly. Some of you feel that you are courting executive power, and that's paramount over all other powers. You can do what you want and get away with it. That's the impression we're getting. But the state has 3 arms of government. And we are here vested with that authority to oversee the actions of everybody and the other two. Some feel that the executive wing is the most potent, and therefore the others, you don't have to take them seriously. These slangs you are speaking, where did you learn them from?
My lords, I'm just a poor boy from Binduri. I'm not from any fancy family, and I come from a very poor home, Your Honor.
So you learned the slangs from your poor family? I've been out there to the Western world, the resurgent there.
My lord, I've lived in the United States for 14 years, my lord.
This is what I suspect. Because these slangs are from there. And you think, you see, in the United States, you know the law works irrespective of anybody.
Yes, my lord.
For that, you're very, that's the first thing that anybody who has been to the U.S. for some time cannot miss out from. And you come back here with that experience, instead of trying to help build your country in a better way, you just put it aside and put on some airs. Not caring about the welfare of the nation.
I'm sorry, my lord. I apologize, my lord.
Very disturbing. A person with this background can do that. And what of those who, are from very deprived families?
I apologize, my lord, and I take full responsibility for my irresponsible actions. I apologize, my lord.
One thing we have observed is, I don't know whether if we are, cautious about these things, whether some of you who are neck deep in the kind of politics you are playing here appreciate the mercy we extend to you. Well, immediately it seems to be a technique. Oh, come and say, oh, my lord, I'm sorry. The moment you are out, oh, I did nothing. I don't see anything that I still stand. Indomitable, I don't know what to call it, over mighty stance. So, from the publication, you wanted to be a member of parliament for Binduri. So this is the kind of leadership you are coming into leadership position in this country. And we should sit here and allow that. And as a result of your stirrings, when clashes erupt, none of you or your children or anybody from your family is affected. The ordinary poor people die, lose their properties. You don't care. We will care on their behalf.
The Constitution says the sovereignty of this country resides in the people of this country, for whose welfare the powers of government shall be exercised in accordance with the provisions of this Constitution. That is, and it's not part of the preamble, it is the first provision of this Constitution. We want to give full meaning and benefit of that to the people of this country. We don't think that these words will just be put there for people to come and toy with, turn them around, tear them to shreds, and ride over everybody. Anyway. Yes, you've wound up the all you.
I would respectfully say that we can be confident that Mr. Tuviga is going to respect what he has said before your lordships about using the platform to withdraw unconditionally the harm that is done with those words. I would agree with your lordship that the harm that is done by these words are significant, and therefore all I'm asking respectfully for is that, as he himself has asked for, you temper justice in this case with mercy, and that he be given the chance that he has asked for. I would like to add respectfully that as lead counsel for the various parties in this case, we did take it upon ourselves during the lunch break to make it quite clear publicly, and I believe it was aired on the public media, that we are not going to be here just trying to cover up for anybody's misdeeds. And that is not why I rise up. I do not rise up to cover up any misdeeds. I just respectfully ask that this gentleman be given a second chance as is requested, and that I can assure your lordship that we will not countenance this kind of behavior from anybody, and we therefore are taking steps ourselves to ensure that the dignity of your lordship's court is respected. We ourselves are part of the same profession, and therefore we know the consequences of these kinds of words. And I can say confidently that we will do all in our power also to restrain the situation that we find ourselves. We cannot accept the culture of impunity, as learned counsel for the second respondent said very publicly this afternoon. And that is all I wish to say, that you temper justice with mercy in these circumstances.
Well, my learned senior has expressed our sentiments, and I think we have indicated elsewhere that we will not go into chambers for anybody on any matter as it anymore. But in the circumstances, the gentleman is asking for your mercy, and we support the call.
Look, Binduri, I know Binduri. I suppose upon your return, you saw the Bako conflict?
Yes, my lords, and I've been a victim. Our house has been burned down before loot, and I believed I was born in a war-torn area, and I take responsibility for my responsibility.
So, I see. So you regard yourself as a warlord?
No, my lords. I'm just trying to explain my irresponsible statements that I made, that I never thought about it. I should have been an example of coming from an area that irresponsible statements has made us to fight ourselves. I should have learned better and known to do better. And I'm responsible for my irresponsibility, my lords, and I'm pleading for mercy.
Iboko was a very thriving commercial center. It was growing. You see, if these sort of things didn't happen, we probably would have overtaken Bolgatanga in terms of development. And, you know, Ghanaians would have had another nice town there in the Upper East to visit. And, you know, benefit from its touristic values. But it's all setback. And after seeing this, experience it, you're a victim. You want it now to engulf the whole country.
Lord,
all right.
Very briefly, just to lend my support to what my learned friend Chikacha just said, in the light of the abject apology that has been rendered, to support what he has said and to plead for justice to be tempered with mercy, my Lord. Just briefly that.
Are you a graduate?
No, my lords.
What's your level of education?
I'm a professional electrician, my lord, and a businessman.
From this type of attitude, you know, if conflict is about erupting, you can easily go and burn a market, misusing your expertise. Today, yes, after setting the fire, you go back. Yes.
Even though this morning lead counsel for various parties came to see your lordships in chambers about this matter, I thought that it's important for the records that I also indicate that I share the sentiments expressed by my other friends here. And we hope that this should be the last occasion that will appear before your lordships. I indicated at the last time that I will not be part of any such delegation. But I owe it to my 11 friends to support them in this matter. And this definitely will be the last time.
All right. You can, in fact, we made somebody to stand here. So, yes. So I think you can find him a place to standing there while we deal with another person.
Thank you, my lords.
The next one.
Mr. President,
I'm reading the court order. It having come to the notice of the court as per a publication in the issue number 415 ISSN 39/11 Thursday, June 27, 2013 of the newspaper known as the New Statesman that Mr. Kweku Boahen reportedly on the 25th day of June 2013 on Angel FM, Kumasi, made certain utterances touching and concerning the presidential election petition pending in this court, which appear to be contemptuous of this court. It is ordered that the said Kweku Boahen do appear before this court on the 2nd day of July 2013 at 10 o'clock in the forenoon to answer to the said utterances for a determination thereon by this court.
Yes, have you heard?
Yes, my lord.
You are served with it?
Yes, my lord, this morning.
You've understood its content?
Yes, my lord.
They are clear to you?
Yes, my lord.
What do you say?
My lord, the publication is false.
It's false?
Yeah, and I've never made a statement on any of the film stations in Kumasi. My lord, on Thursday, I did not go to radio station in Kumasi. And the manager of the FM station are prepared to testify. For about 2 weeks now, I've not been to Angel FM. And I don't understand why anybody would want to tarnish my image. My lord, with the greatest respect, I respect the Supreme Court, and I know the Supreme Court is the highest court of the land. And as a responsible citizen, I will never do anything to undermine the authority and the supremacy of the Supreme Court on the land. And I will therefore appeal to your lordship to investigate this matter thoroughly to bring the perpetrators to book. Thank you very much. And the apology this morning, Statesman also wrote in their paper that the publication was false and was misrepresentation, and they are apologizing to me for this forgiveness. It's in page 2 in the Statesman.
This morning?
This morning.
All right.
Yes. And the apology to you, he said, my lord, I made it on the 17th of June, which on the 17th of June I was not on any of the FM stations in Kumasi. So that publication too is false. He said to tarnish my image and bring my hard one with reputation to disrepute. And I appeal to you
in which they are withdrawing the allegations against you?
No, sir. They called Angel FM to give them a tip. They called, the manager called me. They said, I've never made such statements on the FM station. And on that third day, I was not on the FM station. So they called me to testify. that he has called them.
No, I'm asking you, do you have the copy of the statesman?
Today.
Today,
yeah, I have it. Page 2, my lord.
Headed correction. With reference to our front page story of Thursday, June 27, 2013, carried under the banner headline, 2012 election petition hearing, we will not hand over NDC members' cells to Supreme Court. Our attention has been drawn to the fact that the comments by the Ashanti Regional Youth Organizer of the National Democratic Congress, Kweku Boahen, was made before Justice William Atiguba, President of the panel of justices, had given the final warning against unaccepted commentaries and reportage. We have been made to understand that the comments we heard and captured in our story was a replay of what he had said previously, and not comments he made on Angel FM at the same time Stephen Atubiga was making similar comments on Asempa FM. Information furnished to us from the Angel FM in Kumasi indicates that he made the comments on Wednesday, June 12, 2013. We regret the wrong impression created by our story and apologize accordingly to our cherished readers and all concerned. Ever since we made we just with Samia Uku, there has been the tendency of some media houses to equalize the equation. But that shouldn't be, because we have drawn the line, and no matter the intensity of the publication, we will not shift the goal lines or lines. So you cannot send us back to the pre-final warning deadline. We'll keep to that line in order to be fair. So they should stop it. Nobody should try to bring what A, B, or Z said on this or that date. We will not be driven into that type of equalization.
I just like to say one small thing, that it does suggest to me that some media houses are also unduly misrepresenting your Lordship's intentions, because now we have a situation in which the gentleman says he was not even there on the occasion. There's an attempt to say that he was there on another occasion, etc. and so on. And that also, he says, is not true.
It wasn't true.
So, my Lord, respectfully, I think that it will be appropriate that a very clear indication is given in terms of media houses. Your Lordships may have to, let the media houses recognize that it is not just about some individuals, whom they claim said something being brought before you, but the media houses themselves, to the extent that they misrepresent things and they also seem to stir up things. Because, my Lord, I read the first publication after your Lordship drew attention to it, and frankly, some of the statements in that publication itself, really were themselves a problem. So, my Lord, I would respectfully suggest that this be an occasion, as has been indicated, to let it be clear that the media houses are also subject to the very clear indications that you've given about the authority of this court.
Can find a comfortable seat.
My Lord, thank you very much.
My Lord, it hasn't come to the notice of the court that the newspaper known as Daily Searchlight, Volume 10, number 111, Thursday, 27th day of June 2013, published on its front page, continuing on page 2 thereof, news item headed, "Is there justice in the land?" The loose docket Supreme Court did not see or hear, as well as front page comments. Can we comment on decisions of the Supreme Court hearing or not? Their lordships should come clean. Which touch and concern this court, and which appear to be contemptuous of this court. It is thereby ordered that Ken Crunchy, Editor-in-Chief of the Daily Searchlight, do appear before this court on the 2nd day of July 2013 at 10 o'clock in the forenoon to answer to the said utterances for a determination thereon by this court.
I've been served with this summons.
Yes, my Lord.
You understand its contents?
I understand the contents, my Lord.
Yes. What's your position?
Well, my Lord, I do not know.
May it please my Lord.
Yes.
I appear for the guests of the Supreme Court.
Ken Francis. My name is Atta Achia.
No,
My Lord, Lord, I'm just borrowing the expression of the President.
I've just
My name is...
That is our coded expression.
Very well.
For your consumption.
My Lord, I apologize. I appear for Ken Francis. My name is Atta Achia. With me are my learned friends Yao Ouso Ado and Kofi Boache.
Yao Ouso Ado
and Kofi Boache. I really know. I do correct it.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, my Lord, we have few words to say. And what is happening this afternoon is for the consumption of the whole country. Because, my Lord, this is the first time that the proceedings of this honorable court have been heard even in the bedrooms of the citizens of this country. It's never happened before. The Supreme Court now is in the 10 regions of this country, and the citizens are feeding on what is happening here. Lord, commentaries will abound. It's very natural. Indeed, if there were no commentaries, then we are having a cemetery experience. By all means, the citizens will comment on what is happening in this constitutional forum. So, my Lord, what has happened is that I'll crave your indulgence to have a very elastic heart in trying to understand where my client is coming from. Because some lawyers are being confused as to the distinction between reportage, factual accuracy, and commentary.
Those confused lawyers.
My Lord,
are you one of those confused lawyers?
My Lord, far from it.
Then
yes.
Confine your comments to yourself and address the issue.
Yes. Yes. My Lord, I'm trying to give a background to what has happened. That's what I'm saying. Because kind of our association has even recourse to say that some lawyers should not even comment on the cases and the rest of them. So, my Lord, it is a fact that commentaries are going on. So, my Lord, he posed a question that there is a necessity for this Supreme Court to come out with guidelines. My Lord, that is my understanding of the entire thing that he wrote. So that you sanitize the system and prevent waywardness. My Lord, that is the heartbeat of what is expressed here. There is no trace that Ken Kranche is trying to abuse the Honorable Court. As a matter of fact, if you read between the lines, he's not prejudging the matters before the Supreme Court. I think he has a concern.
The land, the loose talkers Supreme Court did not see or hear. This banner headline, what does it suggest to you?
Well, my Lord, it suggests to me that the Supreme Court might not hear all the commentaries. Might not hear all the commentaries.
No, but it says the loose talkers the Supreme Court did not hear.
Yes.
Is that not suggestive of the fact that we are doing selective justice and that we heard some people and that we didn't hear some people?
My Lord, it's suggestive of the fact that you are being overburdened with commentaries you will never hear. No more. Because, yes, my Lord.
Mr. Thatcher,
yes, my Lord.
I want to understand your position. Are you trying to justify what he said or what?
My Lord, far from it. I'm trying to explain.
You think we don't understand
All these things are not clear to us.
Well, my Lord, we are here on a very interesting moment. We don't even understand so many things. But my Lord, what I'm saying is that he was of the view that we are not sure what to comment on and what not to comment on.
So in other words, we shouldn't even have summoned him. We shouldn't have.
My Lord, I do not
think... That is what you are saying.
My Lord, that's not what I'm saying. My Lord, who cannot be summoned?
I want you to limit yourself for now to the first, what I was referring to. You see, you seem to be very much interested in the second publication. That is where he's asking, where do we draw the line? Is it, can we comment or not? That is one part of the publication. The other part, that is, the loose purpose, is there justice in the land? The loose purpose, the Supreme Court did not see or hear. This is not any different from telling us that some people talk loosely, we allow them to go, some people talk loosely, and we are clamping down on them. I mean, it is not, I don't see how you can put any other interpretation on this thing. Because is there justice? Is the court not being biased, seeing these loose sockets and these true sockets the court didn't see? That exactly is what Sami Awuku said, that got his punishment, which he apologized for. Because he said that the Supreme Court was being biased, being singling out the daily guide. And our comment was that, yes, we were only punishing people. We said we're going to draw a line. So any loose talker after the line is going to be punished. But you are saying that you are still going back and telling us that some people talked loosely earlier, we didn't punish them, and then somebody talked later, which happens to be Sami Awuku, and it's being punished. So that is where the bias, that is where he's drawing attention to the fact that we are being biased. And that is what we are interested in punishing.
My Lord, far from it. My Lord, if you didn't see or hear the loose talk, how can you be biased? That's the point. So, my Lord,
it appears the public and the confused lawyers have not understood what we've said. The daily guide was only used as an example. It does not mean that the daily guide was the only offensive newspaper. No, we only used that as an example and said we were drawing a line. And then Sami Awuku made a statement. Now I'll read something that your client wrote in the Daily Searchlight. Probably you might change your stance or strategy. Sami Awuku was right, and we agree with him because indeed there were others who had made comments far worse. However, presumably, our lordships have not heard these people. And since their lordships apparently have heard Samuel Awuku clearly and read him even better, but have had such great difficulty hearing the others who have made comments more contemptuous of the Supreme Court, we have decided to bring the other comments to you. This is one part of it. Then he goes on and on to make other statements. In another commentary, he says, if, however, we can comment on decisions already taken by the court, then we should be allowed to do so, even if we employ strong words like hypocritical, because that is our view. If certain decisions they have already taken are hypocritical, then we reserve the right to say boldly that those decisions are hypocritical, and so on and so forth. You see, what newspaper publishers should understand is that this court will be the last court to guard free speech.
almost all of us here are adherents of free speech. And we have done so over the years to champion free speech. And indeed, it is the cornerstone of our democracy. But we must do so in a very courteous and responsible language. This is not, it's a decision we have taken, an order we have made, which succeeds. And you are describing the order in derogatory terms and accusing the court of being biased. And we brought you, and you have, the person has apologized. And you are defending that person in your fabrication. I wish all lawyers and also the politicians and the Ghana Journalists Association to bring to the notice of all editors and media men the locus classicus decision in the Republic versus Liberty Press. And
my Lord, I have it here.
Very well. A decision given by one of the distinguished Chief Justices of this country. I believe we all take guidance from that case. And if you have read that case, I believe the advice to your client should be different.
Yes. My Lord, I have not advised my client that what is done is justified. He is expressing some concern and, if you like, a confusion, which is that there should be clarity as the do's and don'ts. My Lord, he does not intend any disrespect to the court.
We cannot be offering tuition to people here.
My Lord,
there are several books on contempt. So if you don't know them, go online, you get the books and read them and give him the benefit of your education. That's why he will come to you. If we give it for free, lawyers will not have work to do.
My Lord,
so it is in our interest, your interest, that you continue to counsel people on how the law is.
My Lord, I have done so.
Then what is the confusion that you still have?
My Lord, the whole point, my Lord, if it's contempt, the whole point is when you have the mens rea, when you have the audacity to disrespect the court. But I'm saying that he didn't have it. He was asking for guidelines. So, my Lord, when somebody is not treating the court with impunity, then we are not even approximating what is contempt. No, that's what I'm saying.
Are you withdrawing the apology that is offered?
Oh, my Lord, no.
Then you don't introduce that complexity.
Oh, my Lord, he's not made a statement. I'm just trying to preface what he's about to say by himself as to the reason why it happened. Yes.
No, but Mr. Pacha, if you say he doesn't have the mens rea, then no offense has been committed. So,
no, but Lord, so far it's not been said an offense has been committed.
No, but what are you trying to say? As a lawyer, somebody comes to you, he presents facts to you. You, as an officer of the court, you are even supposed to tell him, apply the facts to the law. You don't come and stand here and then try to justify what he said.
My Lord, I have not justified.
All right, then you allow him, I think, to let the court go through the motions with him, and then you can stand up. Otherwise, you are, as it were, counseling him on what to say. He's quite well educated.
Wow, my Lord, I thought that...
I don't want to... We don't want to think that you are taking the position that some people on the net have taken against the attitude here.
Yes. My Lord,
I don't want to, you don't want to create that impression.
My Lord, I was just following what the amicus curiae did. He said a few things before the first gentleman who was speaking slangs was permitted to talk. My Lord, I won't coach him here. It will be too bad. So, my Lord, if that is the position, then Ken, explain to the court what happened.
No, we haven't yet asked him. We have to ask him a few questions for you.
Very well. Very well, my Lord, I'll take my seat then. When I have to talk, I'll talk.
response to the summons?
Well, my Lord, first and foremost, very, very respectfully to your lordships, I would like clarity on whether what was read to me, I don't know if it is a charge sheet. I really don't know. Very respectfully, your lordships. I'm supposed to respond to it, to what was read to me, the order to appear. But going on very quickly.
No. You said, what did you say?
I do not know how to respond to, because it sounds as if it's something I am to plead to. Very respectfully. What was read by the gentleman.
You've been in this court. You've seen what others have done. We're not saying admitting it. But clearly, from what has gone on, in respect of the other two, I mean, I don't see what problem you have.
Very, very respectful, your lordship. I think that
either you are saying you've done nothing wrong, or you've done something wrong, or, I mean, whatever. But you say, ask us whether it's a charge you are pleading to. I mean, this is our summons. We are saying that you should, once you've understood the content, what is your response to the...
Well, my lord, I have the very greatest of respect for this court, the greatest of respect. The fact of the matter is that if I run into problems anywhere in this country, my only option for defense, for protection, for comfort is to come to the court. My only protection and comfort. I have nowhere else to go. If some tyrant is oppressing me, the best place I can come for succor is to come to your lordships. But my lordships, in this specific case, your lordships have given the very wonderful ruling that this matter be telecast into every home. As I speak, millions of people are watching me across the... Yes, I'm answering the question, your lordship. Be very respectful. I'm answering the question.
The substance of it. Either you want to answer it or you don't want to answer it. We are not interested in that, what you are saying. He asked you a specific question. Something is attributed to you from a publication. Please, when I'm speaking, you just have to listen and answer. Don't create the impression that you are taking a technical point against the mode of the court's conduct this morning. The proceedings. Is that what you want to say? That we are proceeding illegally?
My lord, that... Very respectfully.
What do you say to what was read to you?
My lord, that is what I am in the process of answering.
Answer it. You heard how you were here. Your friends or colleagues answered to the substance. We are not interested in you.
With the greatest of respect, I am answering it. I'm answering it with the greatest of respect.
Did you write what is attributed to you?
Yes, my lord, with respect.
And are you aware that it's tended to bring the administration of justice into disrepute?
My lord, I can only serve to explain myself. And I think I ought to be given that opportunity.
Do you know what disrespecting the authority of the court means? Don't look at anyone to enable you answer.
My lord, respectfully, I do not intend any disrespect. But I engaged in a publication. I admit I wrote that publication. I seek to explain to your lordships why that publication came about.
That has been read.
My lord, can I speak now? My lord, that is exactly the point I added at the initial stage, is that what my brother read to me, is it a charge sheet? Because It's something that I'm supposed to plead to. Either I'm guilty of it or not guilty of it. So I would like to know whether...
Do you know what a charge sheet is?
Yes, my lord.
What is a charge sheet? Well, no, I think you are just trying to take us for a ride. If you want to be a hero, yeah, you can be a hero.
My lord, I want to appeal to the president with respect. He's a lay person. My lord, it's been said that he should give an explanation. My lord, I crave your indulgence. My lord, if you could give him maybe 5 minutes, he would explain his position, and then you could deal with him after the explanation. My lord, the questions as to what is the charge sheet and the rest of them could confuse him. These are legal matters.
He introduced the word charge sheet.
Yes.
Which is a technical legal term.
Yes.
Which a lay person.
Yes.
I'm sure even students of law who are not yet in law school do not know what a charge sheet is.
My lord, I crave your indulgence. If you indulge him 5 minutes to explain his position, no matter how late it is, and then the Lord could then continue the procedures. I crave your indulgence.
Equality before the law. He cannot be treated any differently. His colleagues came here and quickly understood, and we moved forward. So please let him he appears to understand what is going on. He should just go to the substance of the questions.
Very well, my lord.
Okay, look. My brother to the left has read out certain portions of your publication to you already. Let me go over some of them. I mean, those that raise certain matters which grounded the summons. The crime that was committed by Mr. Wuku was that he had said on Peace FM on Tuesday that it was hypocritical for the Supreme Court to cite the Daily Guide newspaper for caution for misreporting events or otherwise making comments on the ongoing presidential election petition. This is because there were countless others who had made comments similar to that of Daily Guide or worse, but who the Supreme Court had not seen. Samia Wuku was right, and we agree with him, because indeed there were others who had made comments far worse. However, presumably, our lordships have not heard these people, and since their lordships apparently have heard Samuel Wuku clearly and read him even better, but have had such great difficulty hearing the others who have made comments more contemptuous of the Supreme Court, we have decided to bring the other comments to you. Another part. If, however, we can comment on decisions already taken by the court, then we should be allowed to do so, even if we employ strong words like hypocritical, because that is our view. If certain decisions they have already taken are hypocritical, then we reserve the right to say boldly that those decisions are hypocritical. We are appalled that in the year 2013, our judges would be hiding behind the alleged might of the state to clothe themselves beyond the bounds of public scrutiny and examination over their conduct. The fact is that none of us know which radio stations our lordships listen to. We do not know which websites they visit and which newspapers they read. What we know for a fact is that they preside over events in court. They therefore hear and see what takes place in court. We would be glad if they would continue to concentrate on events in court instead of diving into the murky world of reportage and commentary. But if they are going to do so and waste precious judicial time on commentary, then we would beg them to draw the clear line of what constitutes fact-accurate reportage or misreporting and commentary.
There you are. But, well, anyway, that's it.
Thank you very much, my Lord. Thank you very much. Say, it is exactly the difficulty that we have, a great difficulty. I have, thank you, my Lord. That you know that when you come to court, you are supposed to be fair to the facts. You have no right to misreport the facts. But this is what is happening in Ghana today. When you get up in the morning and it's a court day, Monday to Thursday, before the court begins to sit, people sit on radio. And in fact, when the cameras are thrown into this hall, people begin to comment on all manner of things. All manner of things. They begin to guess what lawyer Alita will say, what lawyer Tashishikata will say, how Addison is going to reply. Now, beyond that, beyond being fair to the facts, there is the issue of the rulings that my Lord should give. If my Lord gives a ruling that 26,000 things should not be submitted by the Electoral Commission, if my Lord gives a ruling that the National Democratic Congress should be allowed to join, the simple issue, the simple direction I was looking from your Lordship is that are we allowed to comment on those rulings? There's a need for direction. Because what Mr. Uku did was commentary on a decision of the Supreme Court. That is what I will engage in. My Lordship cautioned the Daily Guide on the nature of the reportage. If the reportage is not accurate, every single reporter, if you have gone through the smallest training, knows that you don't mess with court reporting. But when the court gives a decision, the court decision on Daily Guide, are we allowed to exercise commentary on that decision? If we are allowed to exercise commentary on that decision, then a lot of people, unfortunately...
And the commentary is that we are being hypocritical. Do you understand the word?
My Lord,
do you understand it?
My Lord, I do understand hypocrisy.
Someone comes here, admits that he's in the wrong, and is giving very mild... the court makes a mild... puts him on a path of correction. Then you will see that the court is being hypocritical. The mere fact that many have spoken, but we are not aware of it, does not justify you attacking us, describing us as hypocritical. It undermines whatever we are doing here. How can hypocrites adjudge this matter?
With the greatest respect.
So would you answer to... Stop lecturing us on issues, matters. We are not students here before you to be lectured.
With the greatest respect, may I respond?
Please. Pardon, respond to the question that you were asked earlier on. You should not go in the fashion that you are going.
Or you continue.
My Lord Atuguba, I thank you very much for it. I would really like to, explain his concerns. I try to address his concerns. That is my only concern. Yes, sir. I apologize. My Lord, the point I was making, very, very, very simply. The point I was making. My Lord, the point I was making very, very simply is that can we comment on decisions of this court in the course of this trial? If we can comment on decisions of the court in the course of this trial, it is going to be extremely difficult, because there are people who are going to comment using very nice language. We encourage them. There are people who are also going to comment using very unacceptable language. And because you have allowed general commentary, you would also have to accommodate the use of wrong language. Now, my Lord, with the use of the word hypocritical, I used it in a contextual sense, because certain things have been said with regard to this ongoing petition. Certain things have been said. The second respondent in this matter has said that the election was free and fair, and that the decision of this court is going to go in his favor. He has said that. If my lordship somehow head of the Daily Guide, my concern is that that statement by the second respondent also should have been heard. The General Secretary of the People's National Congress.
Do you know who is the second respondent in this case?
My Lord, sorry, the first respondent. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. My Lord, I think
Mr. Kureki, I believe you heard that we made a final warning. We did not make it retrospective.
No, we can't.
And in any case, the laws of this country does not allow us to make a retrospective order. So our order was made with effect from the date it was given. We cannot go backwards. We could not have made a retrospective order. Mr. Akachi, can you advise your client properly? Otherwise,
I want to seek leave.
Yes, I want to seek of law pursued in this matter.
Lord, I want to seek leave.
The matter can be referred to the Attorney General for proper action to be taken. You understand?
Lord, with respect,
to be dealt with properly.
Lord, with respect, I want to seek leave of the President to approach my client. Lord, do I have your permission to approach my client? Lord, may I seek the leave of the court to approach? I'm grateful. Oh, my Lord. Lord, I've conferred with him and he has a few words to say.
Well, thank you very much. Most respectfully, my Lord, our publication was intended to clarify what we thought was a major problem in our society presently, because a lot of people are giving commentary, all manner of commentary, and we think that it is necessary that the court gives direction in this matter. However, if our commentary and write-up has caused any embarrassment to the members of the panel in any personal capacity, we deeply apologize.
Opinion very clearly, and your statement should not be predicated on if. You either make a clean breath or you just leave it because you think that maybe you are right and we are wrong. You are entitled to be your opinion anyway.
My Lord, so take it and leave out the if. My Lord, if my comment... The comment has been read to you. Yes. Well, my Lord, if the comments are for comment...
Lord, I'm sure my client is getting confused now. He's not getting the import of what my Lord is saying. The apology, my Lord is saying, should not be conditional. Because if you use the word if... Oh, no. Oh, my Lord, something is coming from him, but the language is giving a problem. My Lord, I must crave your indulgence. The refinement that you have, he hasn't gotten the same. Oh, even... my Lord, that is very serious.
Editor who is analyzing...
My Lord, I crave your indulgence.
And directing us.
My Lord, I crave your indulgence. A few minutes ago, he didn't understand a charge sheet. A lot of things are happening, my Lord. A few moments ago, he didn't understand a charge sheet. So, my Lord, I crave your indulgence. My Lord, with respect. Well, no, my Lord. My Lord. My Lord, some of the questions he didn't anticipate. That is the problem.
You see, for me, I'm worried that the man is within his constitutional right to state clearly what his position is. He's clearly within his right. And nobody should put pressure either by the court or anybody. Because he has the constitutional right to state his stand on this matter. Without any pressure, without, any threat. Yes, can we be clear with what my Lord, if the comments, yes.
My Lord, it would seem that my comments have occasioned some displeasure for your Lordship. I deeply apologize.
It will seem. It would seem. It would seem that my comments have done what? Have occasioned
great displeasure for your Lordships. I deeply apologize.
Are we finished?
Yes, my Lord.
Okay. You're finished?
Well, my Lord, the gentleman has apologized before this honorable court. He was given some allowance to explain, and it was a bit wayward. I also apologize. That we will not stand here to encourage people to come and disrespect this court. So, my Lord, with respect, I will just say that in exercising your powers, we should have due regard to the unprecedented situation the whole nation finds itself. And you will need a very elastic heart to deal with the citizens of the country, including the lawyers who are running commentaries. So, my Lord, I really, really implore you to exercise. I'm struggling for words. That you give us a chance to let people know that we don't disrespect this court. And, my Lord, I said initially that it's not prejudge the issues before the court. and that is sufficient ground to see that it doesn't intend any disrespect. That is my plea to the court. I'm grateful.
Very well. Rise for a few minutes to consider our ruling. You remain standing. All right. Which impute deliberate selectivity and hypocrisy with regard to our remarks about daily guide and Samuel Awuku's sanction. Kranchi clearly says that Samuel Awuku was right in describing us as hypocritical and selective. A thing Samuel Awuku himself fully retracted and apologized to this court. If this is not defiance of the authority of this court and the due administration of justice, we do not know what else it can be. We have no doubt that the said statements are made with intent by him to defy the authority of this court and the due administration of justice. Accordingly, we find him guilty of a criminal contempt of this court and sentence him to 10 days in prison. With regard to Kwaku Bwai, it is clear that whatever he said fell outside the touchline drawn by this court. We accordingly dismiss the summons against him. That's all. Yes, case adjourned to 3rd July. For continuance.
We'd like to seek directions on what we'll be doing tomorrow.
Oh, well, KPMG has finished. So you said there was some reserve fund of questioning for Farijan in view of pursuant to KPMG report. This was the understanding. That's why we didn't discharge him.
Well, I don't know if the problem has been solved because we still do not know what thinkings we have, and we're a bit confused as to what we're supposed to do.
Well, let's come tomorrow and try that out.
Very well.
That's all we want to do.
We stopped because they said they did not have the pink sheets we were using. I don't know if they now have it. I mean, because that matter is still hanging.
So if they have it, you have it to go on. If you don't have, they don't have it, don't go on. So why will not settle that?
This thing is supposed to give them an idea of what at least is the registrar's custody from which they can pick to cross-examine. And once it's part of the data, we can't object to it. Yes.
So before we come here at 10 o'clock, I think you must consult each other so that we know the way forward. I'm seeing heavy envelopes in front of you. I don't know whether I'm going to use them further for your cross-examination.
Well, if we are given what they intend to use today, we can check. because we intend to check each and every one. They haven't given us anything so far.
But I thought they gave you some, and you, before
we gave them back because only 3 out of the envelopes, 7 envelopes, only 3 of them were ones that we had. So we gave them back to them, my lord.
Okay, then that is the answer. What about you?
Well, it is the same, because again I said my understanding was that from what has at least been entered, even if we don't have, they could get some from those with which to continue the course examination. Like I said, if we have them, we'll be able to check from what KPMG has given, whether, they can use them tomorrow. So we don't come and have to go through exercise of letting those documents.
I thought you also gave indication that you want to continue with the further preservation of the second petitioner. After
I won't do that. Okay. I can very confidently tell you.
Or that because it was the secretary who
do not intend to call.
Reserve the right to continue.
I don't.
My Lord, I did indicate that we would await the KPMG report in order to make our view known. If your Lordship wish to hear my view now, we do not intend to continue any further cross-examination.
That's right, we don't.
Likewise, Adam, of Dr. Farijan, that is all.
Do you intend to continue cross-examination on the pink sheets which respondents claim did not form part of the exhibits that were served on them?
Well, exactly that. The pink sheets that we want to rely on are the same.
Okay, now that we have the KPMG count, if I believe you all have studied the report, so you know those that have been captured in the KPMG. Then you give those ones to them, then we continue from there.
So, my Lord, we have to take it that everything captured in the KPMG report, they have it. Is that it?
Well,
is that
that's what the registers, at least the registers copies are supposed to be, have been served on all parties.
So it's taken that they have it, everything in the KPMG.
Well, we will not make that assumption, but it is something that will come out of...
Well, we have some difficulty. They stopped our cross-examination. Yes.
When they raise an objection, then we'll rule upon it. We can't be ruling in advance.
So, my Lord, the issue of how many pink sheets we have filed is still at large. It's a matter that has to be, it's still at large. We insist we have filed a full complement. And that matter is still at large. And we still do not know what they have. We still do not know as I stand here now. We don't know. It is incomplete, my Lord. Your Lordship will realize that it's inconclusive. In fact, it does not contain certain exhibits that were used by the respondents in cross-examining Dr. Baumia, and we do not have the full complement of what they have. So that matter is incomplete.
Does the KPMG report confirm that you filed 11,842 unique pin keys?
It is inconclusive because there is even an outstanding 1,545 which they claim they can't identify. And I believe your Lordship even asked them if they had any aid they could identify, and he said yes. And we believe those polling stations can be identified.
How? Because your
by the polling code.
Your representatives were there, and they took part in the count, and they still couldn't provide information that would lead to identification.
No, my Lord, at that stage they did not have part to correct these things. They were just being given silly handouts. But when comments were invited from the parties, after the draft was presented, we let them know that we're able to identify these polls. Very well,